If you want to follow along, you can download a Clue 3D project file. See the Gumroad link in the video description. If you're interested in Clue in 3D prototyping and want to learn more, I have a course for beginners on Udemy you might be interested in. You will find the link to the course in the video description. So let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we are developing complex drape, which is just a variation of the simple drape, the one that we developed last time. The only difference is that this time we will flip the bottom part of our top horizontally, and then we spread these pattern pieces, after which we will get sort of extra twist on a knot here. So really the only complexity of this will be really twisting it in 3D. So you remember that we had to add all these lines to the borders. And you can take your previous project file and basically develop a separate project based on that, or you can develop a new borders based on the instructions in the previous lesson. We'll just continue developing already completed borders. So you remember that after we have lined all this, placed all these lines, we cut along this main line and received these two pattern pieces like this. After which we had cut them, and remember we just sort of spread them out. So the only difference is that I will flip this pattern piece horizontally like this, and then I will match it along this cutting line. So I will just add it here like this, and see, from this point it's pretty much the same thing. So we will have to cut the pattern pieces, merge all these little dot bits, and then spread them out to 18 centimeters. So let's do that. I will move this out of the way for now and try to save a little bit of time and cut it all in one bit. So let's see if it works. Let's select them all and cut them all. Let's see if it worked. I think it did. That's great. So we'll just delete this bit and merge here. Alright, so now we have these pattern pieces, and remember that we had to spread them by 18 centimeters. And for that we use the internal ellipse. I'll go and place it right here with a radius of 18 centimeters. So after this, we have to sort of rotate all these bits and pieces just to make sure that they spread more or less evenly. So for this I will have to close this bust out, or at least align these points. Okay. And maybe rotate it out of the way a bit. Just a bit. Like this. And now let's see. So let's rotate this part by about a third of the way, and then these two, another third, And finally, the last one, the third. Okay, looking good. Alright, so this part is done, and now let's do the second one right here. So I will rotate it, and it has to match up somewhere there. So I'll just delete this, don't need this anymore, and move these closer, and we'll see what we have. So match these points a bit and spread them out. So I will match the points. Like that. And then you see they kind of have to touch, so I have to turn the whole this structure to you know, align here. So let's just do that. Select them all and sort of change direction a bit to make sure that they touch. Like that. That's good. Right. So now we have this pattern piece ready. We'll need to, of course, trace it. Let's go to a normal view. Like this. And trace this. Now the pattern piece is ready. Let's mark these points on it. So this line here goes between this pattern piece and finishes right here somewhere. Then we need to mark a point 3.5 centimeters to the right here. So I'll just add point to intersection and split it to 3.5 like this, and put a notch here, and then another one, another 2 points, is 3.5 centimeters both sides of this line here. So let's do the same thing. And another side. Over here. Cool. Now we have it all. Let's trace it as a pattern. And it didn't work. There. Our notches did not transfer. So the first notch is here, and the second is there, and the third is there. Great. All right, here's the pattern piece. Let's move this out of the way. Over there. Cool, so now we have this one. We will need to place it on the mannequin. I'll remove all the base lines and this line too. And let's see what we have here. So let's bring them all up and place it on a mannequin. Like so. Move it out a little bit, and this pattern piece is placed here. So first of all, of course, we can immediately sew these shoulder seams. Now let's switch on the sewing and see the mess that we have here. Clean this up a little bit, and this. So first of all, we'll delete sewing from this guy here, and we'll create new ones. This sewing and this. So shift and sew. Great, first one is done. Then I will probably need to sew this piece to the underarm here, so let's do that. Switch off the dots. One. Doesn't want to do that. Okay. Here and here. Now I will move it slightly here. And of course the other piece will fall once we do it. So I'll just create another one. A clone of the first pattern piece, just so we can hold them all together. Okay, great. So let's take a look at the reference. We need to twist this pattern piece. You see how it is? So basically this piece will have to be sewn to that one. So completely twist it to the left, sort of thing. So I will change the particle distance first of all to make it a bit softer, and we'll sew this piece to that. But first of all, I would need to twist it, because you know when you sew in 3D it could sew in all different directions. So I will just sort of do that. I'll nail it down a little bit, and then I'll switch on the simulation and kind of bring it there. So I'll switch another black side as well, the two sides of the fabric, so I can see exactly what I'm doing. Move this a little bit here and here, and now I can attempt sewing these two pieces at least a little bit, just to form a hole so I can feed another piece through. So I will do that, and I will sew here, so just a little piece to here. Remove all my pins and see what we've got. Here we are. Good, this piece jumped out of the way. That's great. This is it. And now of course you remember that yeah, let's remove the linked editing because we don't need this replicated just yet. And I will remove sewing in this place. So we got nice flat piece here. So what's our next step? Next step is to open up this hole and feed the other pattern piece through it. I would like to keep this in place, so I'll probably sew the side seam when I find it. It's sort of folded under there. A little bit tricky. Let's try and see if we can strengthen it and get it to straighten up a bit so I can find the side seam. A little bit, not too much. It looks like we'll need to, whether... Oh no, here it is. I think it's straightening a bit. I think we'll need some pins to really force it to straighten out. Pins is your really indispensable tool in these kind of situations. When you're dealing with complex drapes, this is what you do. Okay, here we go. Here's the angle. So we got our seam ready. I will remove all these pins and sew these seams. So just to find out, if you really don't know what you're sewing, it's easier just to get your sewing tool, whatever that is. Where's my sewing tool? Here. And then sort of drag it here and take a look in your pattern. So you see where the blue dot here appears. And you know exactly what you're sewing. So you see the back is not sewn. We'll fix that in a minute. So you got side seams from here sewn to side seam here. So that's easily done. 1 and 2 side seam, and let's just fix the back while we edit. Like that. Right, I'll switch off the strengthening, simulate, and see. Here we go. So this design is really cool when you have two sides of the fabric which you equally want to show off. So if you have a really ugly inside of your fabric, that is definitely not a design for that fabric. So let's just open up this hole. We need to keep this open to feed a fabric through. So let me switch off the mannequin and see what we can do. Maybe even switch off the backs. How's that? All right, now we're talking. So let's see. Here we are. So I'll keep this hole open like this. This mesh really hates me right now. Alright, so I'll just add a few more pins just to really push it apart like that. Alright, so now I have it. I will probably do that as well, like this. Here. I will need to take this pattern piece and feed it through here. So you remember how we did it before. We add pins as usual. Now let's think about it first. If we feed this angle first, we'll have to rotate it somehow in order to sew this bit in there. So it's probably easier to pull this corner in, because that will eventually end up to be center front, if you know what I mean. So let's just see if we can maybe rotate this straight away, so we don't have to deal with this flipping sort of pattern pieces later. Just a little pin here, make sure that doesn't slide right off our mannequin. Oh, we don't need that. Select these two, take them at the same time. And I'll just delete this one for now. Oh, hold on. Let me do this one here. Simulation, please. Let's go up. So you need higher particle distance because you get this less bounce, if you know what I mean. So it's really easier if if your computer can handle it, of course, just to deal with it at the higher particle distance. So here we are feeding it through. Right now, pull it. Cool. Now we're here. While we are in the right place, let's just select them both and bring them over to another side, right here. Like this. Now we'll find this little corner, because this will go to the armhole there. I can probably remove this one now. And this, I'll just pull gently, remove this pin because it will hold things, and remove these pins. And actual fact, we need to remove all pins because we'll probably forget some of them, but let's just see if we can get away with this first. I think there's something here, maybe. No, that's all good. Alright, so we got this twist going. Ah, yes, there's something hiding there, you can see that. Here, now we let it go. Now, you do remember that when you deal with these kind of situations, you need to save like crazy, because at any point you can lose all your work and you have to start all over again. So, now we're saved. Let's see if we can fold this one out a little bit, sort of turn it, maybe just a little bit out. I'll push this one out. Just a little bit here, and delete this one to twist it. Right. You know what I mean. Just trying to turn it sort of. Just a little bit like that. Alright, I'll leave that pin there for now, because I want this to be turned. So just for a little bit. Right, so now this will have to be sewn there. So let me just delete this one and move this closer to that edge. And now you see the pins will not let me do anything. Right, might need to remove my beautiful pins for now, just to let more fabric, more mesh in. Let's see if I can pull slowly a little bit more. Alright. Now, we are sewing this, we're sewing this edge, you see, from the side and towards the center front, and this bit here. So let's just do a little bit. One and two. And before we do anything, we'll delete this pin. And just quietly, boom. We've sewn these two pieces. So when you're doing this, you can play with this twist and whatever as much as you want. Sort of, you can arrange your a knot, and you know, just save. You can do whatever you want with it, as long as you save and you don't lose all your work. Right, so now we have this. Let's just try and a little bit sew the center front. Here we go. Center fronts are here, like here, I think. Yeah, this one and this one. So a little bit on this side and a little bit on that side. Sew it, spread it and look at it. Looks pretty. We can probably switch on the backs now, so let's bring them back. Here we go. And side seams. So the side seam on this side, here it is, and the back, which is this one. Sew it. Great, now we're getting somewhere. So you remember from the last one that we really need to be careful how we sew things. It has to be like small increments to make sure that everything is stabilized. So you just nudge it a little bit at a time. And see this little thing here? Okay, let's save this. This is mesh not being very happy, so watch out for those little dances there, because that's what can break your entire construction. So let's add a little bit more sewing, stabilize it, move on a little bit more here. Great. Another side, a little bit more here. Yep. So, and just try not to go too crazy and don't rush things, because it's just not worth it. See, the knot is getting better. If you want to see it in higher res, of course drop to 5. It's just that your computer might not appreciate it. It depends on your specs. So let's go to the notch here, see if it... You see our notch here is not really accurate, so if you're making it for and planning to sew it, just make sure that you run all your edges here, and make sure that everything matches perfectly. So we have completed this one up to the notch. This one is sort of same. Let's do the front a little bit more, just to tighten up that knot here. This here is not really, I think we can push it to here. Great, now we're good. There's no hole there. Alright, so let me switch off the back view of this and switch off the pins and maybe drop the particle just off the front so you can really see how it folds. You see we have softening folds here. Everything looks much better. And here we are. I think we are good. I think it's really attractive, really, especially, as I said, if you have fabric that you want to show off from both sides, like this. Black and white, not bad. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.